Hello, welcome to 15 Minutes of Consulting Best Practices. My name is Maria Isabel Rios and I'm joined by David A. Fields. Hello, David.
Morning, Maria Isabel. It's nice to see you.
Good to see you too, and happy April Fool's Day.
That's
We'll
true.
see what kind of jokes await during today's session.
If I
All
were
right.
being in character, this whole thing would be a setup as a practical joke, but I'm not sure that's being right side up to our the folks who watch. So we'll
Exactly.
play it straight today.
We will. And as you know, we answer your questions about how to grow and make your consulting firm thrive in a practical and tactical manner. You are all welcome to comment and add your thoughts to the discussion. It makes it richer. And you're welcome to post your questions in the comments. It takes a minute for us to see it. So the sooner you can pull them in, the higher the chances we can tackle them today.
Right.
And
And the very least, people should say, because it was a holiday weekend for many people, just tell us whether you had a nice weekend. It'd be kind of nice to hear. But in the meantime, I don't know who's starting off. So, Deidre, do we have a question in the pot?
you're starting off. I've
I'm
just
starting
decided.
off.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
All right.
So this question is for you, David. I know you've said that it's important to build relationships that go beyond the project, but I'm not sure how. How do you create touch base opportunities outside of project meetings? And this question is from Kyle. What do you think, David?
Okay, got it. So let's just back up for a smidge so I can reinforce like what Kyle's asking about. So what we often say is you want to be able to easily extend your relationship, your engagement past whatever's immediately in front of you. And part of the way you do that is by ensuring that the relationship you have, especially with the project sponsor or the decision maker, transcends the project. It's very easy to get pushed down into the project and into the weeds of the project, and then you're just become more and more perceived as a provider, as a vendor, and not someone who's thinking at the level of the sponsor. So I think so. That's why we say you need to have touch bases, some contacts beyond the project. And I think Kyle's just looking for language. And so in this case, you'd say to the project sponsor something like, I'd say like, Maria Isabel, look, it's really easy to become myopically focused on the project, and I'd like the occasion, once in a while, or the opportunity once in a while, for the two of us to be able to step back, speak more broadly about you, what's going on with your company, Chocolate Makers Inc., and that sort of thing. So would that work for you? And that's it. I mean, that's the language. Maria Isabel, the person in your shoes is rarely going to say, "Oh, no, you just stick with the project. I never want you to think about me more broadly and our company more broadly." So that's what I would use. Do you recommend the same thing typically, Maria Isabel, or do you do it differently?
Perhaps a little bit of a different language coming from
Yeah.
me, right? Because we're different in the way we express the same thoughts sometimes. The element I would add is that this works well whether you're running a solo practice or whether you're a member of a boutique firm as well, right? Keep that broad lens that allows you to cover and kind of see beyond your specific project. It's particularly important for leaders in growing boutique firms because that's where you may not see your clients in the day-to-day of the projects your team is delivering, and you may not have as much kind of contact on a daily basis. So maintaining that senior to senior relationship becomes really, really critical.
Yeah.
Another way is to have a going kind of thread of conversation that is outside of the scope of the project. So say your client has another 3 initiatives that they're governing. It's okay to periodically check in. How are you doing? What have you found? How are they similar to the initiatives we're doing together or not? Not in a sale way, but in a connection way, right? It gives you a consistent thread of conversation.
Yeah, totally agree. And also, I would add on to it. Then we'll answer another question. Is you can do this even if your client is deeply involved in the project. It's still important to have that conversation that's outside the project. For example, I had a client with a larger firm last week, where the CEO of the firm is is actually receiving training and coaching and guidance and all of that. And so, we have plenty of contact. But last week, and he was very clear, we had our regular session that's above and beyond, outside of the project. And, the client appreciates it too, because he sees that we are keeping an eye on what's going on more broadly with the firm, how things are working. So it's very important. All right.
Beautiful.
All
right.
Let's see what we've
So
got.
Go for it, Kyle.
Exactly. Okay, Deidre, is there another question in the pot, or is it a short day? Oh, look, there's another question. So let's see. How important is it to honor or reflect your previous pricing? Ooh, this is a good one. Over 10 months ago, I submitted a proposal for $135,000, but I don't think anyone at the client remembers it. Now they are asking me to propose for very different work. I want to charge much more, but they might balk if they compare my new proposal to that old one. What's the right way to handle this? Okay, so this is a question I'm familiar with, because this is one that actually came in and I dealt with. So I'm glad that we captured it here. So Maria Isabel,
Uh-huh.
what do you think?
Okay, so I think, John, you can definitely change the pricing with a couple kind of guideposts for you. If you price based on time, hourly, monthly for a team configuration, then you're relatively stuck, right? Because the reference your client has in mind is time equals money. One more reason to move away for that and into value-based pricing, because this is really where value-based pricing comes handy, right? The value of the project is different, therefore your fee can reflect that. However, having said that, right, have your original 135,000 fee and how it compares as a reference, because most likely folks have it as a reference too. So either make an adjustment in your fees one way or another, or be prepared to explain how the value you're delivering in this engagement radically differs from the value you were going to deliver in the one you previously proposed. Don't let it be kind of the elephant in the room that everybody sees and nobody talks about. And you can prompt that by saying, do you have any questions about these fees? And hopefully folks are transparent around that. David, what do you think?
So I actually know this situation, so I know who the consultant is in the challenge, and I know it was a value-based fee. I 100% agree with you that you're really boxed in when you do hourly based, time based, daily, weekly, even monthly fees. This is where it becomes challenging, because people remember that. You might think, oh, nobody remembers that proposal from 8-10 months ago, but they have a general idea. Oh, this consultant charges $5,000 a week, or whatever, $5,000 an hour, and if you diverge a lot from that, you're going to be in trouble. So I agree with you. I have found that anytime you've submitted a previous proposal, you have to assume the client's going to find it and look at it, or someone in the client organization is going to find it and look at it. And so if you double your fees for basically the same work, you're going to break trust, and then you're done, because trust is everything. And so you have to be aware of it. It doesn't mean you can't change fees, raise fees, especially if the engagement is different. So I agree with you. We need to be really careful of, don't pretend that they've forgotten. That would not be my advice on that. So I think we're very well aligned.
Awesome. All right, next one is for you.
Right.
Deidre, can you help us? All right. The question is, I have a possible project with a new client, but since they're a startup, they are cash starved, and they want to know if I'll work on a sweat equity payout structure. There may or may not be much in the way of cash payments. What's the best way to structure these types of engagements? David, what do you think?
Okay. So, Marisabel, I know that you and I have slightly different points of view on this one. I will typically not recommend it. So, my point, I would not recommend. Not a matter of how do you structure. I wouldn't recommend taking it. So, my point of view in this is there's actually two decisions you're making. One is whether you want to take on a client that is a high risk client, whether or not they will actually succeed, and whether you want to take that on at a fee that amounts to a severe discount, even if there might be, something possibly in the long run, because what they're doing is transferring risk. So first you just have a decision. Do I want to take on this client or not? Is it, where I thrive? But then there's a second decision, and that's an investment decision. And so let's just say that if they were a well-financed concern, it would be $100,000 project. Now, my question to you as a consultant would be, if they paid you $100,000, where's the first place you would invest that? Is this prospect's company the first place you would put your $100,000? And do you even feel qualified to make that decision? Because most of our clients are not experts in valuing startups. They're not experts in valuing the stock price of a startup. And so I don't think they're well qualified to make the investment decision. And I don't think most of them would make that investment decision. There are a few who are qualified, but most aren't. And so, from my standpoint, if you're not qualified to make that decision, then I wouldn't make that investment. But that's me. I know you have a little bit different point of view because we've discussed this one.
And we have different levels of risk tolerance, if you will. So I am completely with you in that these are two separate decisions, 100% in agreement. If you've decided you want to take a risk, and again, this is not legal advice, this is not investment advice, right? We're not qualified or in a position to give any of that. So take it all with a grain of salt. Then you can think about your fee as having two pieces. A piece that is a cash equivalent, say, and there you may say, okay, look, I am happy to loan you this money, and instead I'm recouping at an XYZ rate, preferential kind of recouping position at XYZ rate, right? So say the same example, 100,000, perhaps you divide it 70-30, and you say out of the 100, I want to recoup 70 relatively quickly and with a high markup. So the 70 become 100 or $110,000, and you're recouping them as if you were collecting loan payments over time. And then the 30 perhaps are your true risk at kind of ownership, higher risk investment strategy. So something to consider. I don't know what's the right formula for you or if there is one for you, but you can also divide the amount into kind of different layers of risk, right? Even say, look, out of 100K, I need to receive 25K in cash. And then the 75K that are remaining, I'm going to divide 50 plus 25, whichever way meets your appetite. But don't think it all necessarily has to be a percentage ownership in a startup. That's my thought.
Fair enough. I agree with, if you take a portion of it, if you take the $100,000 project and someone says, well, you're willing to discount 5,000 and we'll give you something in return. Yeah, maybe, right? Because we are big fans of the hybrid structure where you have a certain amount fixed and a certain amount at risk. The question is how much? And it sounded like Akshata, if I'm remembering the name right, wanted to put a lot at risk. So, right. And John, your points are good. Just keep in mind that there's always the opportunity cost here is letting bad work crowd out good work. If you are working and you have time that's limited or capacity that's limited, that would be the risk. And with that said, we've chewed up 15 minutes quickly. So thank you for spending the past 15 minutes with us, either live, as a couple of you have, or on delay, as many of you are. Before you go, I do have an announcement. The Solo Practice Accelerator is open for registration right now. It's very much looking like this is the only one we run this year. So there's like a single time to jump in on this. And if your practice is under $1 million and you want to participate, this is a fabulous program. Go to davidafields.com/spa and sign up. If you don't receive our articles weekly, you need to do that. So jump on and be where it says subscribe down here that Deidre's put up there. And that's it. Thank you for being here on the start of a lovely spring week. I hope you have a fabulous week. Always remember, consulting is about them, right? It's not about you. It's about your clients and prospects. So give them value and give them kindness. And we will see you next week.
Bye. Thank you.